Hey everybody, how's everyone doing? It's Saturday, and another wonderful week of the WWE has gone past us. We appreciate everyone who joined us yesterday for On the Ring Apron. This is my segment. For those who don't know me, I'm Steve, and today we bring you episode 3 of The Plate Exchange. Now, anyone who watched our first 2 episodes is going to sit here and go, why are we doing a plate exchange? There were no titles that changed hands last week. Well, that's technically true, but as stated after the post-WrestleMania plate exchanges, I said that we would be getting the plates at some point, and when that happened, we were able to do so. We were actually able to get them a lot faster than we thought we would due to an anonymous patron who decided to send a little bit of money our way. We're new fledgling to this, we're not big when it comes to having a ton of money to spend. So a lot of the capital that we end up putting out, when it comes to our supplies, when it comes to our efforts, is coming out of our own pocket. And the person who has asked that they not have their identity revealed took the time to send us, a little bit of money to help us get started with all of these ventures. So to that person, you know who you are. We very much appreciate the money that you've put out towards us. It's very helpful. Kia, who's working the camera today, is also very grateful for it.
Thank you. Hello.
So, it's things like this that allow us to be able to get the supplies we needed to be able to have, our nice backdrops and our nice setups and everything else. It's what allows us to be able to have, the wonderful ability to be able to have all of our information, to be able to do our research, and most of all, it allows us to be able to get all the fun items that you see around us. You see all the belts that we have in our areas behind our setup for our normal show. You see our Money in the Bank briefcases, you see our standees. All of this is part of things that we're able to get, and now we have the ability to be able to continue to keep bringing you guys great content. But more to the reason why we're here, Plate Exchange, of course, as you know, my personal show, which is when we take our replica belts and we put the new side plates on them when they come in. So, as you can see, we have 2 belts out here. We have the WWE Championship and we have the Universal Championship. We'll be getting to both of those in a minute, but we also do have one special one. I simply just don't have enough room on my table for all 3. That'll be our next item. We'll get a bigger table. But we will be beginning with a title that we have yet to ever put plates on, and that is the United Kingdom Championship. It's actually had 3 previous champions, and up until a few days ago, we have not actually had any of the plates until now. So we are going to go ahead and take the time to put the plates of the current United Kingdom champion. For anyone that's out in our audience right now, I haven't said who the champion is yet, so how many of you know who our current United Kingdom champion is? And for a bonus point, who's he going to be taking on next for that UK title? So we'll see how many people in our audience happen to be paying attention to their UK storylines, and Kia can reveal out if anyone comes up with the correct answer. But the United Kingdom Championship has been introduced for a couple of years now, and has, obviously given our new NXT UK brand a chance to have a little bit of notoriety, a little bit of publicity, a chance to get a champion out there. It's had several appearances at respective NXT takeovers, some fantastic matches for this championship dating back a few years ago. You go back to champions like Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, 2 former champions who have had some absolute classics with this belt. And, and then you go back to just a hair over a year ago, which is when we introduced our current champion, whose plates will be going on here shortly. For those of you who have never taken the plates off these things, they take a little bit of time to make sure that you get the current plates off properly so they don't do anything. Also, as I stated earlier, the first time that these plates are actually coming off these belt in the near year plus that we have owned them. So as you can see, we are taking off the generic W plates that they come with, and we now get ready to put on our champions belts. Kia, any winners out there?
No, but we do have one watcher.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's all right, because that's not, if you don't end up knowing the answer, this provides you with a nice little history lesson. Our current NXT UK champion is Walter, who is a very large, very formidable man who lives out in UK, and he has been champion for just a hair over a year now. He won the championship before, just before WrestleMania, not the one we just had, but the year before that, in a match where he defeated Pete Dunne, who had had a title reign that is the longest current title reign of any champion within the last 25 years. So, To defeat Pete Dunne was quite an accomplishment. It ticked off a lot of people, but especially our friend Haley out there. I'm sorry, Haley, this one's one that I know you're not a fan of, but has to be done. And hey, Stallion Pete has figured out a way to get himself back into it. And Walter has, continued to reign over the UK brand. He's developed his new group called Imperium. I say new group, but I guess they're not so new anymore. They are basically the UK equivalent of what would be the Undisputed Era here in America. And as such, has reigned over the UK brand for a while. And because we didn't have an answer to our question there just a minute ago, he has actually started a nice little rivalry with Finn Balor, who appears like he will be the next challenger. And just a little spoiler, if Finn Balor does defeat Walter to win the championship, we do already have his plate, so that would be a very quick plate exchange for this one. This one does not want to go on. As I said, plate's going on this one for the very first time, so when you are doing these for the very first time, they tend to be a little finicky.
Do they televise the United Kingdom NXT on America TV, is the question.
We do have, the UK brand does appear, but not on TV. They still continue to show it on the WWE Network. If I recall correctly, because I'm normally at work when it happens, they show it live at 3 o'clock, what would be American Eastern Time, on the WWE Network. The show lasts for either 1 or 2 hours, depending upon the show. But yes, they do still show the show, but it is not on American television. I know there has been some discussion between the WWE and, like USA and other channels that promote our shows to attempt to try to get it on TV. But as you, I'm sure, can no doubt imagine, a 3 o'clock weekday slot for professional wrestling is probably going to be a very hard sell to any channel. So I don't know if that's one that'll ever quite get into play here for the WWE, at least here in America. But, knowing Vince, he's going to keep trying. And, of course, Triple H, who has a very big part of NXT, I'm sure will play a very big part in him in all of this continuing on. Speaking of Triple H, how many of you guys enjoyed the 25-year anniversary for him last night? I thought they did a very good job. It was meant to close the show, and I think they did a fantastic job with it. It's a guy I've watched for my entire career and whatnot, so I'm glad to see him getting his comeuppance. But anyway, we move into it, and now, as you can see, the Walter plates, and that may be why the one over there didn't go in all the way, because I had it backwards. So, hey, this is live TV. Mistakes happen. I'll have to get better at it. But we move on now to our second belt. I'm going to move these plates out of here. And we now move to our Universal Championship, which, of course, as you guys saw from our WrestleMania show from this couple of weeks ago, was won by Braun Strowman over Goldberg. In our previous episode, we removed the Goldberg plates, and now we are in proud possession of the Braun Strowman plates. So we now will go ahead and take the time to get those on here.
Someone actually answered your question.
Fantastic.
And the person that did was Slytherin Queen 69. She said she died laughing through the whole thing. I can't believe how old Road Dogg looked.
Yeah, he did look rather rough with his long facial hair. I think he had said something about if he knew he was going to be on live television, he would have maybe done something about his beard or whatnot. As you can see, I'm trying new facial hair looks myself. Kia is a fan of some, not fan of others, but, it's all coming together.
Yep.
But Braun Strowman, since we're sitting here and I'm taking the second to go ahead and get his plates on here, Braun Strowman has actually won his first first world championship at least, with the WWE. I don't know how long that run's going to last, as he's getting ready to start defending his championship against Bray Wyatt here in the coming weeks in a nice Wyatt family reunion. So currently our plates were the W plates because we did not have the Braun Strowman plates at the time. But obviously, as we said, that has changed now. We now have the Braun Strowman plates that are getting ready to go on the belt to represent our new Universal Champion. So we'll take a second to go ahead and get those into play here. And as I said, along with any of our particular ones, we're going to make sure this one's upright this time before I start putting it in. That certainly would help. So with each plate I also put in, I also present a trivia question to any of our watchers out there. Braun Strowman currently stands at, I believe, 6'9", which makes him one of the taller champions in the history of the company. So our question is, who is the tallest champion that the WWE has ever had? And anybody who'd like to jump in with that is welcome to do so. If we don't get any followers, I'll be happy to bust out a little bit of info here in a little bit, or I might make you have to wait for a future episode to present that.
Slytherin Queen said that she feels like Braun should have been champion sooner. He's a great wrestler, and in her opinion, he's sexy too.
Well, I will certainly leave that comment to the ladies to make that judgment. I cannot say I am looking in that large bearded man's direction myself. That's not to judge anyone who does. That's not my cup of tea per se. But, I do agree with the fact that I think he's had all the potential to be a champion a lot sooner. He's had several matches with Brock Lesnar through the last few years. Everyone thought it was all but a foregone conclusion that he would beat Brock at one of the Super Showdowns in Saudi Arabia a few years ago. That ended up not turning out that way. And has had multiple opportunities to become world champion. Nice little rivalry with Seth Rollins last year when he was still with the Universal Champion himself. But this is one where honestly I think, opportunity and a little bit of luck happened to fall into his lap. Not necessarily, because as, it's pretty common knowledge now, Roman Reigns dropping out of WrestleMania is what gave Braun the spot for the title. Hey, he reaps the benefit, and now he's sitting here as our new Universal Champion. So, that's two of our belts taken care of here.
And to answer your question, we have someone who's answered, Andre the Giant or the Big Show.
Well, they would be correct in either instance. Both of them stand, they both are billed at 7'4". I don't honestly think either of them are actually that tall. In reality, obviously we can't speak for Andre now because he has passed on. But honestly, I think they're closer to maybe 7 foot, 7'1". But Andre definitely had the height advantage, so I believe WWE reveals him to be the tallest champion in the history of the game.
Okay, what about the Great Khali? He was pretty tall.
Khali was 7'2". They made him look like he was a monster, but I do know Andre was taller. I remember seeing the height by height comparison in one of the old WWE UK or 2K games.
Okay.
So, we move on to our final belt of the evening, which is the WWE Championship, the belt we've held the longest here in our collection, wearing the shirt to represent our new champion, which of course is Drew McIntyre. Drew completing his nice... a chuckle from behind the camera. You know what that means, everybody. Drew completing his nice comeback story through WWE. As everyone knows, he came in, was kind of promoted off as being the next big thing, the next huge name, Vince McMahon's, chosen one, and that was not just a moniker that he kept on TV. That was also something that was very much expected of him behind the scenes, and yet, it seemed like he just could never quite get past that stage of having all the potential and having all the talent, but just could never quite put all of the pieces together, until eventually he reached the point where he ended up actually getting released from the company. He had to go back out. He had to find himself. Came back, ran through NXT, and then brought himself up to the main roster for a couple of years now. And here he is now standing as our WWE champion, and hopefully one that's going to be out there for a while. So,
okay. Cut Queen says hello. She said she likes the show of building the belts and changing out the plates.
Well, thank you. We appreciate all of the fan interaction that we get. We appreciate you guys taking the time to come in and watch. We're trying to put a lot of good content out there. But we've taken off the plates. We removed the Brock Lesnar plates after WrestleMania, changed them back to the W's, but now we are in proud possession of the new Drew McIntyre plates. Very nice, very sharp.
Bling bling.
Bling bling. And so we'll go ahead and do that. It'll be curious to see how far they're going to let Drew McIntyre go. So our trivia question for Drew, as I put him out here. When Drew McIntyre won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, in terms of his cultural lineage, what type of history did he make? Because there was a very significance in terms of the fact that he is Scottish. So the fact that he is, based on that, what history did he make in terms of his championship victory? So give y'all a minute or so here to contemplate that one. We'll see who can pop in with the right answer here. But Drew is in his first reign, as we said, as WWE Champion, getting ready to step into his first title defense in 2 weeks at Money in the Bank against Seth Rollins.
Oh, and I can tell you for a guaranteed fact, I love both men, so that one's going to be kind of hard for me to watch.
And yet, I'm sure you'll find no trouble actually watching it.
Oh, no, I never said that. I just said it was going to be... Okay, let me rephrase. It's going to be hard for me to watch and actually be able to pick a person because I love both men.
But don't worry. She can sit here and say she won't pick, but I promise you on Top Rope Spoilers, she will pick. Even if she has to flip a coin, I don't care. But you will get an official pick. So it'll be curious to see which way she goes with that. And also, of course, with Money in the Bank happening that night, there's no guarantee that Drew or Seth are going to walk out of here as WWE Champion that night. It is possible that someone completely else could go on that, but we're going to have more information on that as we move closer to the end of it. So, anyway, anybody jump in with the answer to that Drew question? That's all right. This one was a bit of a tough one. By actually winning the WWE Championship, Drew McIntyre actually became the first Scottish-born champion in the WWE's history, at least world champion anyway. He's won Intercontinental titles, tag titles, but first time a Scottish-born wrestler has become WWE champion. And with that, we get a chance to see his plates for the first time on our championship belt here, and ones that me personally I hope stay on here for a while. So anyway, and of course, as we mentioned in our last show, it is also signed by Drew McIntyre. We took a chance on that meetup in Philly, and it managed to work out. So now the belt is complete with the plates and the signature. So for all of you who jumped out here and joined me tonight, thank you very much for another episode of the Plate Exchange. We're going to hope that we get more plates as we go along so you guys can continue to keep joining us. We appreciate everyone who jumped in. Make sure you stick around here on Instagram here in a little bit at 2 o'clock, our weekly segment of Questions with the Queen. Kia's got a whole lineup of questions that you guys have asked, so we're going to make sure that we get those answered. So be sure to come back here in just a little bit. But for those of you who joined, thank you very much. And you guys stay safe out there, stay at home, wash your hands, and y'all take care of yourselves. Have a good one.